Hey, what's going on, everybody? Who we 186 back again with another video. Today we're gonna be discussing Halo Infinite being delayed. Now, when I first saw the game, I thought it looked like Halo, right? Like I didn't, I definitely noticed popping when it comes to the sky and to the grass and stuff like that. But I thought that those are stuff that can be fixed at launch, right? And I never thought that the game would ever be delayed, even if it needed it. Especially if you look at deep dives that some people have done, um, the game probably needed to be delayed. But the problem is that, to my knowledge, so like when it comes to like their mainline games like Forza, Gears, and Halo, I can't think of any of those games ever being delayed, right? Like, obviously I do remember the infamous story of Halo 2. Like the game kind of not necessarily finishing incomplete, but they kind of had to they kind of pretty much rushed the finish of the ending of that game, according to what I've heard from people. But really, you don't really hear anything about it being delayed, and I do believe, and I'll give Microsoft credit on this. I do believe under the old regime, that game would have probably came out anyway. So for them to to delay the game is a good thing. Like, it's not. I don't think like the delay part is not the real story, at least for me. I think it probably needed a delay, and anybody outside of the Xbox fanboys probably realize that. Right, so the delay is not the issue. I think I still believe that if delays are fine, as long as they make the game better. I think the real issue that comes to mind for me is whether or not 343 Studios is the right team to continue making Halo, right? And I've maintained this from the beginning, from a long time, that while I like Halo 5, like it's really the only Halo game that I really dived deep into. I played a little bit of the first one. I played a little bit of 3. It's not my jam, but I do like 5, right? But despite that, it's clear that the franchise isn't what it used to be. It just isn't. Like when you look at after Halo Reach, Halo 4, which I thought looked great, but Halo 4, people hated the multiplayer. Definitely didn't have the same impact that Halo 3 had. And then you look at Halo 5, multiplayer was I enjoyed the multiplayer greatly, but a lot of people shat on the single player. And and obviously when you look at a Halo game like Halo 5, you look at the totality of the impact that it made. It just didn't have the same impact. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't. Like, even on the Xbox, the OG Xbox, right? Like PS2, the predominant console that generation. People talk about, people still talk about Halo greatly. Like, Halo was a big deal back in the day. I think people who are younger do not realize what a big deal Halo was for the Xbox brand. And I do believe that if it wasn't for the success of Halo, Microsoft would not be, the Xbox wouldn't be where it's at today. I truly do believe that. So the game being delayed isn't really the issue. The issue is 343 Studios the right team for it? And I understand that there's probably a lot of people from Bungie that jumped on to the Halo to 343. I get that. But ever since they've gotten hold of the franchise, it hasn't gone well. It hasn't gone well. At least, compared to the older games, it hasn't gone well. And I think a lot of people, like it just hasn't gone well. Like, you obviously, I mentioned all those games, but then you look at the Master Chief Collection, which released broken and really hadn't gotten fixed for years. Like, you have to question it, because while I can say that the delay was needed, obviously, I don't remember a Halo game being delayed under Bungie. You know what I mean? Like I don't remember that. And then you look at how the original gameplay trailer was received. You know, and I know that Bungie has had issues when it comes to betas and stuff like that. I think if I'm not mistaken, I heard Black Bond say this, but he was telling a story about how the reception to Halo 3 the beta was poor, which I'm sure it was, but the game came out and it's I would probably say Halo 3 is the biggest Halo game ever made, I think. You know what I mean? I don't know how much it sold in comparison to 1 and 2, but I'm sure it sold more. But you know, like ever since Reach, it doesn't have the same weight to it. It just doesn't. And I don't know if it's just, you know, the game. I don't know if it's just the industry, kind of dictating that, or is it just the quality has gone lower? I don't know. I really don't know because so like I said, obviously the industry has changed, but you look at, you know, games that used to be big now, there's very few games that can have that can keep that same level of popularity that is done for years. You look at, I'd probably say, you know, you look at Call of Duty. Like Call of Duty, I don't think Call of Duty is at its apex, but you know, obviously Call of Duty is still popular. Grand Theft Auto still popular. And I mean, I don't know if that's about it, but like, you know what I mean, it's hard. Like it's not easy to maintain your popularity all throughout these years. I just think that, like, right now, like this is important. I said this on my Twitter, and I'm gonna say it right here. Halo Infinite needs to be a smash hit, both critically and commercially. Needs to be a smash hit, because the one thing that I think a lot of people, you know, I think people saying that it's good for Halo, but it's bad for the console. I disagree with that. I think it's good. I think it's good for the game. I think the whole console part is irrelevant, because I think the most important thing what Microsoft trying to sell you, they're trying to sell you Game Pass, and to my knowledge, there hasn't been a game that has launched on Game Pass that's gonna be as big or as important as Halo Infinite. So to not have that at launch of the Xbox Series X, it'll hurt a little bit, but it hurts. I think it hurts Game Pass more, because I think that most people. Because the thing is that you need to show people. They're like Microsoft need to show their third party partners that Game Pass is here to stay. And I think the thing with Game Pass, and I do think Game Pass is a great service, and I do think if you hand it out to any random gamer, I think they'll jump on it. But you have to remember, you need to get the big third party games in order for Game Pass to really be a threat. You need the Madden there. You need Madden. You need Call of Duty there at launch. That's what I think you need. But I also think that having a game like Halo launching on Game Pass day one, I think is also a big deal, because I think you know, because I don't think Gears 5 launched on Game Pass. I don't remember. It probably should have. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember. But having Halo their day one on the Xbox Series X through Game Pass, I think it was going to be their big marketing to not only push the Series X, but also to push Game Pass, which is, I think, the most important thing for Microsoft. So for that to have to be delayed, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is. So overall, like I said, like, delays are fine. The delay is not the big deal. I just think that when you look at 343 Studios, if you're Phil do you consider removing them from the project if the game doesn't meet expectation? And for me, I think a lot of people will scoff at that. But at the end of the day, like you have to consider it. You have to consider removing 343 because, like I said, like every step of the way from them has been not like has been not. I don't want to say necessarily a fuck up, but it hasn't been great. It hasn't been great. Like I don't look at like the way 343 Studios are. I think a lot of Xbox dudes put them on the same level as some of the top tier developers in the industry, and based on their track record, they're not. They're simply not. And for a franchise that you at least, even if it used to be like, even if it's not as popular as it used to be, like it's not hard to make it. It shouldn't be that difficult to make a great Halo game. It really shouldn't be. And people can say what they want about, well, COVID is the reason why the game looked the way it did, whatever. Like, look, we're not gonna pretend that this game hasn't gone through some sort of development hell. There were stories coming out, and I'll put the link in the description. There were stories about, I think, a head director at in charge of the game. He left. You know what I mean? Like he left, and honestly, like look at the way the game looks. Like for a game that's supposed to be your flagship title for your brand new console on a service you're trying to sell people, and for it to look like that, it wasn't gonna have ray tracing at launch. There were rumors about it not having multiplayer at launch. I think there were rumors about it not having multiplayer at launch, and I think Phil Spencer in an interview said that they considered releasing the game in pieces. Like, come on, man! Like this game went through some type of development hell, and like I said, the obviously a delay is gonna help that, but we're not gonna sit there and pretend that this game development was all rosy, because it wasn't. And again, like you have to, like, I know Bungie went through some of this stuff too. Like I'm sure the development of the earlier Halo game wasn't great, but at the end of the day, they released the game, they got the game out, and the game was critically and a commercial success. And 343 Studios, in my opinion, hasn't been able to replicate that. And like I said, like I'm not here to I don't want to be like, oh well, people need to lose their jobs and shit like that, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to me. But if you're Phil Spencer, you look, and if this game comes out and it's either not a commercial success or a critical success, I would have to consider seriously. I would have to seriously consider either moving on from the franchise, which I know they're not going to do, or I would consider getting somebody else to make the game. Maybe maybe ask Bungie to jump back on it, which I don't think that's ever going to happen. But I would really consider that, because at the end of the day, like, you have to take care of your franchise. You have to take care of your big franchise, right? Like, the one thing that you can always have speculation about some of their other games and their other studios, because you don't know about those franchises. You don't know about if Avowed is gonna be a good game, even though it should be a good game. It's being made by Obsidian, but you don't know about some of these other games. But with Halo, Halo used to be a guaranteed mega hit, and with 343 Studios, it hasn't been that. And I think anybody who can look at this objectively will admit that. But with the delay, they get an opportunity to redeem themselves, right? I'm never say never. I'm not saying that they can't make a great game, but this delay, while I think it hurts more for Game Pass overall, I do think that it is an opportunity for 343 Studios to redeem themselves. So, that's really about it. This will be 186. I'm out. Peace.